Hello! So I just posted a video talking about episode, for the One Piece anime, episode 1089 and the new opening. Everybody did. We've all been talking about it. In that video, I got a ton of comments asking me, since I said in the video that I haven't seen very much of the anime at all, to go and watch some of the most iconic scenes in the anime. Specifically, people were asking a lot for reactions to some of the most iconic scenes, and I'm not a React channel. I personally don't have any interest in recording reactions, and so I didn't want to make a video that would attract a certain audience that I'm not gonna feed. So instead, I watched many of the iconic scenes that were suggested to me, and I did record a reaction, but this is not going to be a reaction video. It's going to be a discussion video. I'm going to talk to you about my experience reading these, but I'll have some reactions playing on the side just to give us a happy medium so that we're both happy. I will say a few of these scenes I have seen because when I was reading through the manga for the first time, I did have a patron who was sending me scenes of some of the most iconic parts of the series. So I have seen some of these before, but it was a while ago. My memory is terrible. And yesterday I sat down and watched a ton of them all together, and it was amazing. And I have some thoughts. So I want to, now that I have officially seen what I think is a large collection of some of the most iconic scenes of the anime, I want to talk to you about my experience and what I've taken away from it. As someone very, very new to anime, I got a lot out of this. And I think the main thing that I got out of it is that, at least from what I saw, from the scenes that I watched in the anime was very loyal to the manga. So I was watching scenes that I already knew and that I've already fallen in love with. I was watching scenes that already mean a lot to me. But with the anime utilizing the assets that it has, the music, the voice acting, the unique ways that they can kind of make the scene a little bit different, a little bit more unique to the anime, it allowed me to see some of my favorite moments in my favorite series just from a slightly different angle. And that was really special to me. One of my favorite things that I got out of this was that. It was seeing it just a little bit differently. Something that I already love, something that I already consider so special, seeing it just a little bit different so I could appreciate it just a little bit deeper was really cool. The perfect illustration for that is my favorite thing that I watched yesterday, which is gonna be such a disappointment to you. Go ahead, think of what you want my favorite scene in the anime to be. I'm gonna disappoint every single one of you. It was Law's flashback. Now this shouldn't come as a surprise because Corazon is my favorite character in the manga. Lately, Kuma and Bonnie are giving him a run for his money, but honestly, I don't think he can ever be dethroned. Korra's just really special to me. So watching the flashback was really special to me. So seeing Korra sneak into enemy camp to steal the Opi Opi no Mi, and the music is playing the whole time in the background. And so we have this fun spy music that gives it this little that gives it such a charm to it. And the whole time we're seeing Korra's fruit on display. He's already explained to us what his fruit does, and we already assume, well, that's pretty useless, but now we actually get to see when used creatively how useful it is. It allows him to sneak into a room undetected. It allows him to sneak back out even after he's been seen and get away. It allows him to create this massive explosion, but there's no sound. And then we still have this fun spy music playing that keeps it really light. But then we have Korra thinking about how happy he is that he's finally gonna get this to Law, and so it adds the emotion on top of the lightness, on top of the joy that we got out of there. And then the music cuts, and then Corazon falls. And it's that coupling of cut the music, make him fall, and with that falls our hopes and expectations that this was ever gonna go well. And then the scene, the confrontation between Corazon and Doflamingo while Law is silenced in the trunk behind him. This is one of my favorite scenes in the manga, and it was great in the anime too, but what really stood out in the anime was what came after, when Corazon had been shot and was lying in the snow dying and telling himself, just hang on a little bit longer. Just stay alive a little bit longer so that your the silencing, gosh, of the devil fruit won't wear out, so that Law can have just a little bit longer to be able to get away. And all of that was done beautifully. All of that was executed so well. But it was the emotion of him clinging to life so that he could give Law every last second to give him the greatest chance possible to get away. And then it was when the silence cut, and all of a sudden you hear Law's anguished, guttural screams, his mourning, and us realizing that now we can hear him, which means that Corazon is gone. I feel like these 3 episodes of Law's flashback were the perfect illustration of what made the anime so special to me. And it's all these added things. It's these little things like the music, or like them cutting the music or cutting the silence, that just added a little bit different of an impact to scenes that I'm already so emotionally invested in. Another great example is in Brook, Bink Sake. Now this scene I've seen several times. You can't get through reading the manga without the internet saying, now listen to the song. But I loved watching it again, and it didn't fail to make me sob again. I think the song is beautiful. I think the piano is gorgeous. I love the music of this music. But the cutting back and forth between the then and the now while the song plays also just really emphasizes how much Brook has been through while playing this song. Between it being the last song he shared with his crew as they dropped one by one, and he had to end the song as a solo because he lost everyone he cared about. And then contrast that with him playing it now, and it's a tavern full of people celebrating and becoming closer because of the song and because of their shared love for that song. It really just reminded me of how much the crew saved his life. This song was the last time he played it for his crew. It was his final goodbye to them, and it was the reminder, or rather it was the beginning of him being in isolation and of him having no hope, of him having no chance of ever leaving where he is, and no way of fulfilling his promise to his last living crewmate, Laboon. But now he's singing the song with his new crew. He's been saved from the situation he was in. He's no longer isolated. Instead, he's surrounded by a tavern full of community. And his dream to get back to Lagoon has been restored. And he's actually on track to be able to do that. So this song is not only a contrast of what was and what is now, but it's also tying that hopelessness and the redemption, or rather the liberation of that hopelessness, which I think is really beautiful. Okay, final one, and then I'll move on to the next point, because I actually do have more points. It's just that this is going to be the one that's the longest because it's really special to me. This point is the final scene that I want to talk about that just really, really stood out to me as being amplified because of the anime is in Nami in Arlong Park when they did the hat pass off. I don't think I've ever seen this one in the anime before yesterday. There was something really uniquely horrifying about watching Nami stab herself over and over again while she screamed in rage and in hopelessness. I mean, hats off to the voice actress, because I think she's what made this scene so unbelievably effective. Her screaming while she stabbed herself, and then her screaming, "Go away, go away, go away," as she's kicking sand up at Luffy while she's screaming at him to leave her alone. And then that voice acting, that desperate screaming, then quieting down to her then looking over her shoulder and asking, "Luffy, help me." I think this scene, which is already one of the most iconic scenes in the manga, I think this scene is better in the anime. And it's all to do with the voice actress. I think that and I know everybody talks about Robin's scene, and I've seen Robin's scene multiple times, to include, again, yesterday, and I adore it. The voice acting in that scene is incredible. You're right. But it was the buildup of the screams of desperation from Nami quieting down to the quiet Luffy help me, it just did something to me. Maybe it's because yesterday was the first time I've seen that scene, and I've seen the Robin scene several times. Maybe that's what it was, but that scene just did something to me. Okay, next point. I watched a few action scenes as well. I didn't watch a ton, but I watched a few, and they were excellent. The ones that I watched were. You're gonna tell me about the ones that aren't excellent, I'm sure, but the ones that I watched were amazing. A couple of highlights for me. Scenes like Marco saying, "It's time for the stars to come center stage." And then the fluidity and the colors of Zoro and Sanji entering to begin that amazing fight. Or the very slow, quiet build-up before Luffy punches the Celestial Dragon. Or during Luffy's fight with Kaido, the flashes of him remembering who he's fighting for before he lands the punch just made those scenes so exciting to me. I also watched a bunch of happy times. There were quite a few times, because I was watching these scenes for a while yesterday. There were a few times where I just really needed to breathe. Because most of the scenes I watched were highly emotional. And there were times that I was like, I'm gonna drop if I don't get a little bit of laughter in me. So I got to enjoy a lot of really silly scenes. Every now and then I just had to pause to watch Luffy, you know, shove a zombie into the ground. Or see Queen dance the Zuma 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 song probably like 6 times. Honestly, I've seen that one a lot. But then there's also things that I think are anime only, like when Frankie was telling Luffy that he was telling him about Tom and who Tom is to him, and Luffy, being the active listener that he is, practiced good active listening skills by repeating it all back to Frankie, but all completely wrong. And there's just like this long, awkward pause, and then Frankie goes, "Yeah, something like that." It's so funny. And this isn't anime only. And I didn't even watch this one yesterday. I just still remember it from when I was watching Punk Hazard. Do you remember the scene when Luffy is telling the crew, "Hey, the law's part of us now," and they're all like, "No, he's our enemy. He will betray you." And Luffy just asks him, "Are you gonna betray me?" And Law goes, "No." And then Luffy smiles real big. It was hilarious in the manga. It was a different angle of hilarious in the anime, and I love it so much. Final point in what is, I'm hoping, a quick video. I'm doing okay on time. Final point is some of these episodes are artistically incredible. And again, I know I've seen a series of highlights and it doesn't accurately portray the consistency of quality that the series gives, but I have seen some really stunning scenes and episodes. One of which that obviously comes to mind is episode 1089, which, you know, again, we've all made videos on, or all of the internet has been talking about, I guess I should say. But also the episode where Yamato looks at Luffy and sees Roger in him. I was actually caught up at the time that this episode dropped, and I did see it the day after. Because the internet was screaming at me again, and thank you for that. But I watched it again yesterday, and it's stunning. It's not just that the colors were really vivid and the motion was really fluid, but there was actually an artistic tilt to it that was completely unique to the anime that made the scene so emotional. Sometimes you just see art that speaks to you emotionally beyond what the art was actually meant to convey, if that makes sense. It reminds me of one of my favorite music videos where the band wrote a song about love, and they had a specific thing that they were saying, and they were trying to talk about it, and then they met a man on the street completely by coincidence and got to talking to him, and he invited them into his home, and he told them their story. He told them his story about him and his late wife, how they met and the life that they got to live together. And they incorporated, no, they didn't incorporate. They based the music video around this man and his story, and he told his story in the music video. And I remember watching a behind the scenes for it, and the lead singer of the band was saying that the music video actually says the story more than the song itself does, and it's all because of this man telling his story within it. That's probably a terrible illustration, but my point is sometimes the art actually speaks louder because of how it connects And I think that episode did that. One more that I just think visually, artistically did something really special was the Roger laughed scene. It was the music, but it was also just the direction of that scene, showing the people laughing before it showed Roger laughing. That scene really stood out to me as being artistically something that kind of transcended the scene itself. Okay, I'll stop yammering on now. I think I like anime now. Now, this is an awkward time for me to be posting this video because I filmed all the reactions before this most recent anime episode came out. And I don't like that they leaned into the topless Bonnie scene even more, knowing now what I know about Bonnie, that just, it really, really hated that. So this is an awkward time to be posting this, but I'm recording this part of the video at 4 p.m. the day before the video is supposed to go live, so I don't have anything else to give you, so we'll just pretend that this video was posted at a different time. We're talking about the highs, we're not talking about the lows of the anime. Speaking of, why does the anime do this? Anyway, I loved the scenes that I watched yesterday. I am so amazed at how incredible some of these scenes are. Again, I don't have a well-balanced opinion on what the anime is because I haven't seen very much of it at all. But I am potentially interested in watching Egghead now as it comes out because it's the same story told a little bit differently, just with tiny little different touches. And I think that that's really cool. And I don't know, I think I like anime now. I'm gonna have to report back on that, but I have a couple of other anime that I'm planning on watching, so we can figure this out together. Anyway, I would love to continue chatting with you about this in the comments. I don't know what your experience is with the anime. I don't even know if you like it. I don't know if, I probably didn't say anything that you don't already know. You know, like, congratulations, Murphy. This different form of media provides different benefits. Like, good job. But this is a new experience to me, and that was my experience with some of the best scenes in One Piece, and I loved it. Anyway, I post videos every Monday and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on the book channel, which is always linked in the description. Please do chat with me more about this in the comments. I'll see you again soon.